Right, hello fellas. Something I've been meaning to do for a while is talk about dimensions. I keep coming across people talking about dimensions on the internet, and it's not the way I see it. I think that's really the best way I find to describe it is there's three dimensions, right? So what I've done is I've done this diagram. I think we've got an English sunny day. What I was trying to point out here is I think we're all familiar with the way I see the first two dimensions. Three dimensional inanimate objects. They just are being, and I've picked some ones that are fairly stable. Diamonds, gold, coal, stuff that's buried, inanimate objects. And then we're taught evolution. I mean, I'm not quite sure how it actually is, but there is a sort of link. You've got liquid and then basic single cell organism. Life begins from these inanimate minerals, elements, and life somehow sparks. Very simple life, progressing through. Where am I aiming it? Good. Progressing through, working its way up until we get to maybe we're the pinnacle, maybe it's the dolphins, maybe I don't know. But it gets to a stage where the animals seem to develop a bit of thought. Pigs quite intelligent, dolphins. Well, we know we can think. We know we can think, right? So this is the progression, which is in evolution, millions of years, but we can see a link running through from there to thought. Now, when people talk about two dimensions, they're talking about a flat object, a TV picture, a page in a book. But all of that is actually three dimension. A TV picture is an electron thick, so it's a very thin 3D. The only reason we've got 2D is we can perceive 2D with our brains. We can think about 2D and therefore realize it. So 2D really is the way I describe thought. I would describe the jump from inanimate, which is I, to the power, say, of two dimensions. So I to the power of 2D equals T equals thought. Two dimensions encompasses three dimensions. It's greater than because we can perceive 2D. And maybe microwaves are 2D, maybe lights 2D. There are other things, but thought 2D, inanimate 3D. So 2D is greater in a way than 3D encompasses it. And that is a massive jump, whether you're seeing it as evolution or whatever. There's a massive jump from a solid, inanimate, pretty solid, vibrating, but more slowly, inanimate object to a thinking being, human being. But here's the big jump. Here's the really big jump, because we have self-contained mechanics and knowledge to supersede this whole creation by stepping into 1D, one dimension, right, and transcending thought, not going under it by getting pissed, which I did quite a bit, but understanding the knowledge, the thought, and transcending thought. So that would be a leap. That would be a leap from 2D, which also contains 3D, into 1D, which is all everything. It's beyond the universe and creation. It's all, and we have the mechanics and can access the knowledge to make a bigger leap than the leap from the so-called early forming of a planet to thought would be small in comparison than the leap from 2D thought into the one dimension, which occasionally you probably had a little sample. We all get samples of this all the time. When people describe 5, 6, 30 dimensions, it's conceptual, it's thought. It's a thought game. The universe is the mind. The matrix, the maze is the mind. The more you think and explore, the more deeper you go into the mind. All the channels, all the synapses of the mind, everything you see and work out and conceptualize is mind. But what I'm talking about is going beyond mind, because mind is self-contained. I'm talking about getting out of your head, out of your mind, and like I say, not under it, not the normal out of your head. That I found that, well, I found that out to be a bloody loop anyway. So transcending into one dimension. 3 is 1 and 1 is 3. There's not all these fancy other dimensions. I see, you know, that's like science fiction, that's stinky thinky, you know. And here's this genius who can really get confusing, you know. But like, yeah. So that's basically it. There's 3 dimensions, and I've drawn that because that's the 1 and 2, and the 3 connects. The 3 would turn this into a circle, because transcending the thought, you'd make this. Well, it wouldn't really be a loop actually. It's beyond that. In fact, forget that. I didn't even say that. But the 1 dimension, white paper will do. I never thought of a way of drawing that. That's to transcend and go beyond and be all, you know. And so that'll do me for now. I do have another little model to explain this with. So if this doesn't get anywhere, I'll drag out the other thing. I think you got a picture of this. I think I was walking behind it all right, so you could see that I was going from the stable inanimate objects through creation to us. Perhaps we're the pinnacle, perhaps we're not, perhaps it's whales, perhaps it's dolphins, but you know what I mean, inanimate to thought. Okay, I'll leave you with that. Cheerio.